Flanked by Mayor Bethune, City Manager Fox Simons, and Police Chief Amy Prock, Myrtle Beach Police today held a press conference on details of last night's July 4th week deadly shooting on Ocean Boulevard. The suspect is Conway teen Evany McCray, who is employed at Peach's Corner. He is being charged with murder as an adult. Witnesses and merchants claim a person entered Peach's Corner at around 11:15 p.m. last night brandishing a gun. McCray then pulled out a gun, killing the patron. We asked Myrtle Beach Police if the murdered victim brandished a gun prior to being shot. MBPD said they could neither confirm nor deny those facts. Gun violence in this area of Ocean Boulevard has been ongoing since April 26th. The full press conference can be heard here.
All right, thank you all for being here. We've got a quick investigation update from the Myrtle Beach Police Department on the shooting last night at Peach's Corner. We'll start with Lieutenant Alan Amick, and then Assistant Police Chief Chris Smith will say a few words. Following that, we'll have time for a few questions.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alan Amick. I'm a lieutenant with the Myrtle Beach Police Department. Basically, here today, I'm just going to provide you guys a timeline of events in reference to last night's shooting. So through investigation, we learned the following. On June 27th at 11:15 hours and 38 seconds, the victim enters Peach's Corner located at 900 North Ocean Boulevard. Upon entry, words are exchanged between the victim and the suspect, who has been identified as Evany McCray, 17-year-old from Conway, South Carolina. At 11:15 hours and 48 seconds, the suspect pulls a firearm from his waistband and fires several shots. One of these which struck one of the victims inside the business. He was later pronounced deceased, and also struck a second victim who was walking across the crosswalk at 9th Avenue North and Ocean Boulevard. This second victim suffered a gunshot-related wound as a result of the suspect's gunfire and was transported to the hospital for treatment. Officers who were at 9th Avenue North and Ocean Boulevard, along with bicycle officers who were actively patrolling on Ocean Boulevard directly in front of Peach's Corner, immediately responded by running towards the sound of gunfire. At 11:15 hours and 58 seconds, officers made entry inside the business. At 11:16 hours and 16 seconds, the suspect was detained by an officer while other officers render aid to the victims. The scene was then secured and additional resources responded to begin the investigation phase. I want you guys to understand that this is an active investigation and currently ongoing. And as additional information comes forward, we will be releasing that. If you didn't know, we just had bonds for the defendant. I'm here to provide those details. So on assault and battery of a higher and aggravated nature, the judge denied bond. For possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, the judge set bond at $250,000. And possession of a weapon by a minor, the judge also set a bond at $250,000. The murder charge was remanded to the high court for bond setting. As you know, city court and judges cannot set bonds for murder. Okay, so that's basically a timeline of the events. I'm going to turn this over to Assistant Chief Smith, who also has more.
Hello everyone, I'm Assistant Police Chief Chris Smith. First and foremost, we express our sincere condolences to everyone impacted by last night's senseless act of violence. We share our community's frustrations with these societal issues of youth unlawfully carrying firearms and engaging in criminal activity. I want to highlight a few key points regarding the initial briefing of this incident. Due to our upstaffing and deployment strategies, our officers were patrolling both on bicycles and foot patrol within the proximity of 900 North Ocean Boulevard, providing uniform presence in that area. This individual, an employee of that establishment, still made the decision to place our community at risk by discharging a firearm from within that establishment. Our officers immediately responded by running to the gunfire and within seconds entered the establishment to provide life-saving measures, ultimately taking the individual into custody. I also reiterate that this is an ongoing investigation with numerous articles of evidence to be processed and fact-gathering by our investigative teams. We do ask anyone with additional information related to this incident to please contact the Myrtle Beach Police Department at 843-918-1382. I want to acknowledge the courageous actions of our officers who continually serve the community selflessly. I also assure our community that we will continue to hold those that engage in criminal activity accountable for those actions. We'll take some questions at this time between myself and Lieutenant Amick. Based on the question, we can help answer that in just a brief few minutes.
So if we can go back for just a second and talk a little more about the suspect in this case, which is a 17-year-old that worked at Peach's Corner. Is there any indication as to why this employee would have a gun inside the establishment?
So currently, as I said earlier, that it is under current investigation. Obviously, we're within 12 hours of the incident actually occurring. We do, as you heard, have an individual in custody, but those things that take time for us to be able to establish. I can tell you that unlawful possession of a firearm by the youth is certainly an issue that is an ongoing problem nationwide currently.
How do you think you can get a handle on that issue? I mean, it's not just here in Myrtle Beach, it's other areas of the county, even in the PD. How do you get a handle on that?
Early intervention, at-home accountability, ensuring that we're not allowing youth to have access to securing firearms, just taking that accountability and preventing something like this from happening to where officers have to react and we're putting our community at risk.
And kind of going off that a little bit, now the city of Charleston just put in this week a curfew for juveniles over the summer. Do you think that's something that Myrtle Beach will do here, given the crime in juveniles here?
Sure. Obviously, there's a constant evaluation, certainly with our judicial partnerships and legislative partnerships, our community partnerships, and our stakeholders. However, I do want to stress a key factor in this is that this individual was at a place of employment. And so regardless of curfew ordinance violation, he would have been an exemption for that ordinance.
Just to be clear, there is a curfew ordinance that's already in place for juveniles, right?
That is correct.
Talk a little bit about that.
We have a juvenile ordinance. You want to talk about a little bit about juvenile ordinance and statute? Good.
I don't have the statute. All right. I don't want to quote misquote.
So our ordinance currently, go ahead. Good.
We currently have an ordinance. It is at 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. That is what our current ordinance states. We are reevaluating at this time. We're working with not only our management, but our council, in addition to our community members, to reevaluate that at this time, to consider a change possibilities, not only about the time, but also some other factors that may include youth as violent offenders, that may be something we consider, as well as other violent offenders that in specific areas, but also what other things that we may need to be able to evaluate. So it is something that we want to consider as something that impacts our community overall, not in a specific area, but the entire community and how it impacts us.
Chief, what age is the curfew for?
Currently is under 18.
18 and under?
Under 18.
Can you say and spell the suspect's first and last name again?
Yes. Good.
Yeah. It's Evany McCray. That's EVANY MCCRAY.
And that she's it's a he. Okay.
It's a
He is being charged as an adult?
Yes.
Okay.
Was the victim armed?
So that is part of the investigation. I don't have that current information. So as the investigation flows, we'll be releasing additional as it comes forward.
Was the victim the one that came into the restaurant and started talking?
Correct.
Or was the person
So the victim came into the restaurant. The suspect was already inside working.
So the person that was shot on the crosswalk, they were okay, or
They suffered a gunshot-related wound.
they still in the hospital?
I don't have that information at this time.
Was that
Do you know
the
how old they were?
I don't have that information right now.
Was that the individual with the non-life-threatening injury?
Correct.
Okay. And we don't know what the nature of that injury was?
It appeared to be a lower extremity injury, but obviously I wasn't in the hospital last night, so I don't have that information right this time.
Do you know how many shots were fired?
That's part of the investigation. As that becomes available, if we're able to get that released, we will.
Take a couple more questions, guys.
Yeah, reports are coming in that the unfortunate deceased flashed the gun or brandished the gun before he was shot. Can y'all confirm or deny that?
That will be part of the investigation. If that is true, then we'll release it. If it's not true, we'll release that also.
One more, guys.
Do you know how many officers were on duty at the time, and have you guys felt that that has deterred crime?
So like I originally mentioned, that based on our upstaffing for our weekends, especially during the busier portion of the entertainment or waterfront district, we obviously employ upwards of 50 or more officers to patrol those areas. And so we ensure that the staffing level is adequate. I again want to just point out the fact that our officers were visibly within the front area during the course of this incident and responded within seconds to address the incident immediately. And so as we talk about staffing concerns or answer those questions, I just think it's really important to understand that the officers were there. They were there in several different capacities, the way we deployed in that area.
Absolute last question here. Obviously, this has been a busy time for Myrtle Beach, busy time for your department. Talk to us about how you guys are dealing with this uptick in crime. Is it frustrating?
Sure, an incident like this is always frustrating. We share the frustrations with our community as well, but we don't let an incident like this define our community either. We provide upstaffing for public safety, between fire department, EMS, medical services, and police department. We offer those services to protect our community and provide the highest level of public safety. And we'll continue to do that. We use technology-based, intelligence-based policing strategies, and that's what we're committed to doing at the police department.
Thank you all for your time. We'll have to wrap it up.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Yes.
We're talking about focusing our efforts on frustration, what is happening in our community. Again, I'm going to go back to the fact that this is something that the nation has experienced, our colleagues are experiencing throughout the state. And while we're working together, I encourage you to also reach out to communities throughout the state. We're all working together to address these issues, whether it's juvenile related, whether it's violence related. We are impacting legislation to be able to address things like open carry, which definitely is something that we have to address, where there's some mitigating circumstances we have to address. Unlawful conduct to children, we need to be able to address to hold also adults accountable that are not securing weapons in their homes. So there are areas that we need to make sure that we're addressing, not just focusing on, we have to focus on the violence and make sure that we're addressing that, ensuring that we're addressing that in our community, but we also need to make sure that we're addressing it in bigger ways in our community as well. So I want to ensure that that's getting passed on to our community so that we can work together to address those issues with our legislators as well. Thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you all for your time.